when you found grace, you found Jesus. For if it had not been for the grace of God that was on our side, we would have lost our mind. We would have thrown the towel. But if it had not been for grace, I dare you to look at somebody next to you and tell them, neighbor, after all the hell I've been through, I did not find unmerited favor, but I found Jesus. You didn't find unmerited favor because unmerited favor wouldn't have found you in the bed that wasn't yours. It would have found you lying and cheating. But when you slipped and you messed up, you found Jesus. For I heard the Bible declare in Ephesians 1:7, in whom we have redemption through his blood, the forgiveness of sins according to his riches in grace. When you found grace, you had to find Jesus. Is there anybody in the house tonight that found Jesus? I need you to help me preach this tonight. And look at the lady that's sitting next to you and tell her it had to be grace. You didn't say it like you need to tap somebody and tell them it had to be grace. It had to be grace, brothers and sisters. As we look over the occurrences of our lives and we precisely examine everything that we've been through, you will recognize that some way, somehow, there was something besides our personal actions that pulled us to this present time. As we recollect over the previous year and we look presently alive, we don't know how we made it through all of the lies, the hurt, rejection, pain, and stress. But I heard a hymn that simply says, Amazing Grace. Tap somebody and tell them, Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace. How sweet the sound that saved the rich like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. Some of us didn't have the strength to make it through, but grace. Some of us didn't have the peace of mind to go any further, but grace. Some of us have been lied on, abused, and abandoned, but grace. Some of us went through relationships that broke our heart, but grace. Some of us experienced not knowing how we were going to make it, but grace. Some of us were sick in our bodies, but grace. Out of all the innocent people that were killed, it could have been you, but grace. Out of all of the calamity and disasters, but you didn't experience none, but grace. Some of us almost lost our mind, threw in the towel and cussed somebody out, but God wrapped his hands around you in grace, and he wouldn't let you make a move because he told you that he ain't through with you yet. Can I tell you tonight, in 2012, you had to go through because this was a year for your promise. So last year had to be for your process. Last year you had to suffer. Last year you had to be lied on. Last year you had to be talked about. Last year you had to be misused. Last year you had to be abandoned. Last year you had to be let down. Last year you had to be confused. Last year you had to be stressed out. Last year you had to be afflicted. Last year you had to be bitter. Because this year you're going to be better. Last year you had to be tested. Because this year you have a testimony. Last year you had to be put in the fire. Because this year you're not going to have a residue. Last year you had to be destroyed. Because this year he's going to develop you. I found out about God that sometimes you almost got to lose your mind to get your mind. I found out about God that sometimes he will take you to the fire just so you can give him an eternal yes. Just so you can trust him like you ain't never trusted him in your life. I dare you to slap somebody next to you and tell them I found grace. And it had to be grace. I would have lost my mind, would have thrown the towel. It was grace that can say, no weapon that is formed against you shall be able to prosper. It had to be grace that can say that, for I will not leave my soul in hell, neither will I suffer my Holy One to see corruption. It had to be grace that can say, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in the time of trouble. It had to be grace that can say that I will keep me in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on me. When you found grace, Jesus, you found Jesus, and he told you in 2 Corinthians 12:9 that my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. That's why you couldn't throw in the towel. That's why you couldn't give up, because of his grace. As there are about 15 people that know that if it wasn't for his grace, to jump on your feet and shout, grace! Yeah, take your seats, but let's sit down now. Because if I was in the picture, I would have kept on going and your way. But I'm not a man of God that will stimulate you without impregnating you. Yeah, that's the problem with the church, because we're becoming an entity of entertainment and a personality base that's driven by people who can do certain things and make the church happy, and we're leaving the church happy, and they're tickling our flesh. They're making us leave with a feel-good gospel. But I came to change your life tonight. You came in contact with